Today I'm going to be watching this video. It's 8 culture shocks of moving to Canada. So I'm not too sure where this person's from, but I always find these videos interesting, entertaining as someone who's moved to a few different countries and suffered a lot of culture shocks myself. I always like to see what other people think when they move to certain countries. So in this case, Canada. See what shocked this person about Canada. If you're from Canada, tell me what you think about it.
Ciao a tutti! In this video, I'm going to talk about the culture shocks of moving to Canada. A culture shock is when you're trying to integrate into a new place and there are some things that just really surprise you. Okay, and a little background here. Se non mi conoscete, ciao, sono Katie, sono americana, ma negli ultimi 5 anni ho vissuto a Londra, Inghilterra, in Italia, ovviamente, e ormai vivo in Canada, a Toronto. E ancora dico Toronto come un'italiana, ma okay, to be like super Torontonian, I would say Toronto. Toronto. Non Toronto. No, Toronto. Culture shocks, let's start with a quiz. If you know what these 3 words mean in Canada, you're off to a good start. Are you ready? 1. What is a toque?
A hat.
Now, this is spelled really differently than I thought it was, even though I did know what it was. Okay, we'll circle back to that. Number 2, what is a serviette?
It's like a napkin,
and 3,
or tissue.
What is a Chesterfield?
It's a sofa.
Do you know? Did you get any of those right? So, a toque is a beanie, a serviette is a napkin, and a Chesterfield is a sofa, like a couch.
Happy I got all of those there.
What?
Just learned from these videos.
Why? Some of these words, it's really clear the French influence here in Canada. I mean, official languages in Canada include both English and French. So, serviette, like that, that's French, right? It kind of makes sense. Okay, with that quiz, I hope I either gave you some confidence to like go into the rest of this video like I know a thing or two about Canada, or you're like, I know nothing about Canada. I do feel like as Americans, we kind of assume, it's like, oh, Canada's our cousin. Probably the same, right? They probably have the same currency. No. They probably have all the same laws. No. So as I go through this list, I'm going to contextualize it in terms of what shocks me about this thing compared to other places that I've lived, or kind of what reminds me even of some other places that I've lived. Andiamo. The first is maybe the most stereotypical one, but it blows my mind because it's so true. People are so nice. Ridiculously nice. It's kind of just this curiosity, happiness, smiling, but it goes beyond that even to a kind of politeness. So all the time here, people are saying sorry to you. Sorry, sorry, sorry. This reminds me of all the sorry in England, and Connor actually makes fun of me because I still say sorry. If I'm just caught off guard, I still say it with a bit of like a British bent. Like, I'm not trying to be Madonna here. Like, it just comes out. Now, don't get me wrong. The people in Puglia, in southern Italy, where I just lived before moving to Toronto, Pugliese are the friendliest, most welcoming, most hospitable people as well. It's a different kind of friendliness. How to explain it? Pugliese are unabashedly warm and welcoming without the politeness, I would say. Our dog Hiro is 100% Pugliese, and I think he agrees with me. Sei d'accordo, Hiro? Sei d'accordo? Which brings me to number 2. There are no stray animals. Like, I haven't seen a single stray cat, which I saw multiple of every single day living in southern Italy. And that leads me actually to kind of another point, which is just the overall cleanliness. It is very clean in Canada.
Yeah, just on that, no stray animals, is that a thing? I don't think I've seen that mentioned on any of the other videos. Do you notice that being Canadian? Is that something like local governments or the government do to try and give them homes, or they put them in the pound or whatever you would call that in Canada? Is it just people just take care of their pets more? What's the reason for like just no stray animals there?
Number 3, international cuisine. So this might be a little bit specific to Toronto, but the food scene here is out of this world. But I do think Canada, you know, it's a country with a lot of immigrants, and that's reflected in the cuisine, and it's awesome. Italy didn't have that. Italians love Italian food so much. They're so proud of it that they don't necessarily embrace other cuisines. On the other hand, here, I have eaten so well. I'm talking Korean food, Korean fried chicken, bibimbap, tteokbokki. I've had great Thai food, Indian food, roti, and of course, not international here, the Canadian favorite, poutine. And I actually did an entire Quirky Club live chat based on poutine. And I'll take this opportunity to shout out to the Quirky Club, my incredible Patreon community. Ciao a tutti, they are amazing. They're the reason I keep doing these videos. They make it so I can pay my rent. If you like these videos, please consider joining. I'm leaving a link in the description box below. You get all kinds of fun perks. Go check it out. Number 4, the weather. So we moved here at the beginning of March. It is now mid-April. How does it not feel like spring yet? In southern Italy, this time last year, I was outside exercising in the park, like not many clothes on, the sun was shining. Here, the sun shines some days. I still have to wear my toque. I mean, it snowed like a week ago, so. And I have heard stories about the Canadian winter, which I have not yet lived through. Not particularly looking forward to it. Number 5, washrooms versus bathrooms or restrooms. Washrooms is what they call toilets. I'm really trying to catch myself going into a restaurant and asking, hey, where's your bathroom? It's like, be classier, be Canadian, washroom, washroom, washroom. And while we're talking about washrooms, a little culture shock is coming here, the lack of bidet. I don't really need to go into that. If you've seen almost any of my other videos, you know that in this household, we like the bidet action, especially Connor.
It's the greatest piece of fixture that I've ever had in any place I've ever lived.
Number 6, so healthcare here. A complete 180 from healthcare in America, but has some similarities to, you know, the more universal healthcare offered in Italy that I experienced, and also in London. As you may or may not know, I'm a little preggers and intend on giving birth here in Canada. I'm actually gonna pass this over to Connor.
Healthcare around the world. Getting pregnant for us has become a lesson in comparative health systems. We had our first trimester in Italy.
Per fortuna belle notizie oggi.
Which is a fully socialized medical system, whereas like there's no health insurance. It's all the government. Medical professionals work for the government, and all of the hospitals and care is run by the government, and it is free for all the residents.
Vedi, dalla testa che sta sulla parte destra e il culetto, diciamo, che si trova sulla parte sinistra.
Then we went back to the United States, where everything is privatized for the most part, and you buy private health insurance to cover your coverage, which is then administered by private medical professionals.
Yep, there we go. It's a girl. It's a girl.
And then third trimester, we're now in Canada, which has social insurance. So the healthcare system is administered by the government, but all the professionals, the medical professionals, the doctors, etc., are privately employed. But everyone has the same social health insurance. In the UK, it was like Italy, where it was like fully socialized, the NHS. Love the NHS. There was obviously private options as well.
Thanks, Professor Connor.
You're welcome.
Number 7.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I think a lot of Americans, when they go to not just Canada but any other country, see an improvement or being more accessible, just a better system, less costly is probably the main thing, of course. What do you think, being Canadian, what do you think of your healthcare system? How does it compare to any other ones you've experienced? Are you happy with it? Do you see it improving? Not like getting worse? What's your opinion of it?
Television. Again, I think that this is a hilarious, like, American-centric way of thinking about things. But when we first moved here, there were basketball games on that Connor wanted to watch. He had just gone 5 years without being able to watch his favorite sport, American basketball, because we were in England and then Italy. So here we were like, this is great. Except no. Yes, he could do some like VPN stuff and like was able to catch some of it, but I guess it's just not what we assumed. And we assumed that we would be able to turn on the TV and pretty much watch anything that, just like how we could watch it in the States, which is not true. There is a perk though. Now we have access to CBC, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and their shows like the one that our friend Julie Nolke is on, Run the Burbs. I'm sure you know Julie and her incredible YouTube channel. If you don't, by some odd reason by now, go check it out. In terms of
So yeah, no, you never really explained why is it you can't watch basketball in that example, but is there like, yeah, said there, what was it? TV and country restricted programming? What does that actually mean? Is there certain things you cannot watch? Why is that the case in Canada?
taxes and tips, Canada is much more similar to the US actually. And by that I mean, you go to a store, you see the price on the shelf, think, oh, that's cool, that's a good deal. You take it to the cash register and the price you end up paying is more, and that's because of the tax added on at the end. UK, Italy, that tax was incorporated in the price that you saw. And also in terms of tipping for services, tipping at a restaurant, that is expected here. You tip, 15, 20% if it's really great service. So as an American, I'm used to this. However, living in London and Italy really got me out of the habit. I hope you enjoyed these culture shocks.
Yeah, tell me what you think about them. Very interesting. Again, especially seeing this time an American, but who's lived in two other quite different countries, UK, Italy, and seeing how they all compare to Canada. So very interesting observations. Tell me what you think as a Canadian and the things she spoke about there as well. And yeah, keep recommending more videos of a similar nature. Thanks.